what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out here in the garage putting intercooler brackets into the race car 2.0 that we're doing. These are the brackets that Tanner makes. So I was out here, I've already got one side, I got the studs out. When I put the car together originally, the sheet metal around the studs for the intercooler bracket, or where the intercooler would bolt to in the core support, was already cracked and the metal was separating. So I spent a little bit of time welding that up to support it all. And actually it turns out I did a pretty good job with it, but we're putting these intercooler brackets in here today to kind of clean all that up. I'm going to go in and take care of all that. And the other side I still have the studs in yet. But so I figured what I would do is, I got this side pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to show you guys how to pull the studs on that side. The sheet metal is already ready to be sunk. So what I like to do is I use a ball peen hammer, and I use the round end to sink the sheet metal around where the studs go in, because on the back here, to get this plate flush, there's a bit of weld. So I like to, like I said, I like to sink that so it sits more flush. And I'm going to paint them, but they're raw today. It's you know, we're in Michigan, so it's snowing, it's cold. I think it's like 30-something degrees today, and it's been snowing since I've been up. But so I'll probably take these inside and I'll get them painted throughout some point this week. I'm just going to shoot them with some wrinkle coating black, and then put it back on the car, and I'll put some heat on it out here with my propane tank on the front of the car, and I will go ahead and get that recoated as well, so we're not worried about it rusting. So yeah, like I said, what I'm going to do is we're going to show you how to pull these studs out here quick. And actually what I'm going to do is, I got this mount that I'm going to wear, this harness, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the camera on that and make it a lot easier for you guys to see. Alright, so what I like to do is I take a nut, thread it on there a bit. Now these studs have been not pulling through the sheet metal like the other car did when I did them. So when these, I got to break them free and push them in and then fish them out with a magnet. But I put the nut on, kind of just wiggle it back and forth. It'll break the rivet free. And then it sinks in. And like I said, for me, I got to do it like this. Oh, no, camera's facing down, sorry. First time trying to wear this thing, so I wasn't sure how far down it was going to be. I'll show you with the other one a little bit better. So anyway, like I said, take it, thread the nut on. And then, like I said, when you guys do them, when it breaks the rivet free, or the nut free, it'll pull through the sheet metal because it's got the shoulder on it. The only reason mine are going in is because I welded it, and you could see how much thicker that metal is where it's been welded, so obviously there's a lot more integrity there for this to fight with. So you just kind of wiggle it back and forth a bit. Eventually it breaks free. And then I gotta put my finger on the back, spin that off. And I got lucky with these, I get my finger in it, so I didn't have to fish it out with a magnet. The other side, they fell in. I just got a bending magnet. All you do is kind of just shove it in there and fish them out. But so that's that part. So now we'll go back to this side. And I like to use a lady slipper, help support the metal when I hit it with a hammer. That way it doesn't just cave the whole thing in. You can actually hold the middle out here so you get just the sink where you need it. And then I take the hammer and just kind of line it up and bump it in a little bit, go to the bottom, do the same thing. So you can see the sheet metal bend in. And then, like I said, what that does is it allows this to sit and not just chatter when you get your bracket mounted flush. So you just use your crash bolt nut. If you have a car that doesn't have a crash bolt, all you need is a 1-inch long 8x125 bolt. That will work. And then, so like I say, you just kind of get this in here. I'm going to do it the lazy way. Come on. There we go. Run that in, and then that's there. Now by the time that's flush, it's usually in a pretty good spot where you can just go ahead and tack that down. But I got a gap here yet around my sheet metal, so I still got to sink that in a bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take care of that. And I'm going to take this camera off my chest. I mean, you guys got the gist of it here. I'll set the other camera up so you can watch me do it. I'm going to, like I said, I'll probably just do kind of a time-lapse deal with this one. I'm going to go ahead and get that sunk, and I'm going to get that ground down, do the same thing. And then once I'm ready to get the bottom set screws in here, I will go ahead, bring the video back in. Sorry, I don't know if you've seen it down here. There's holes that he gives these, where are they? Self-tappers for. Oh, they're here on the floor, sorry. So what he did with these is he just taped them up and he threw them in the bracket. So if you buy his kit, don't just throw everything away, pull the brackets out, and then make sure that you got these self-tappers. Because you don't want to just throw them away, like I said, and then you just take it, self-tap it in the sheet metal. But I don't do that until I know that we're going to fit right with the intercooler, because there's a little bit of room you can move back and forth like this. A little bit of room you can move back and forth on it before you run that screw in there. So like I said, I like to get the other side ready, and then I'll support the intercooler. I'll get it hung on these studs, and then I'll wiggle them around and make sure they're in a good spot before I run that bottom screw in there. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'll set this camera up here, and we'll get going with that. Hey guys, so here I am, I'm getting ready to hang the intercooler in the car, make sure everything's going to line up before I put these studs in. This one's pretty bad. So I mean, the issue I'm running into right now is it's hitting this support for the hood mount, so I gotta clearance it back there a little bit. But the studs do line up. So all you gotta do at this point here is you get your set screw or your self tapper. What I like to do is kind of twist it in a little bit, start it. Oh, guess my battery's dead. Go figure. Alright, hold it. What I like to do is kind of twist it in a little bit, start it. Guess my battery's dead. Go figure. Alright, hold it. run it until it hits. The sheet metal is very thin, it's easy to strip those out, so you don't want to get too crazy with it. I'm just going to do the other side as soon as I find my other self-tapper. On the tape. Yep. Yeah, give me a second here, guys. I'm trying to peel this tape off here. Ready? A little pressure in it. And that's it. Now they're in. Like I said, you want to sink it so they sit flush. There's a little bit of weld that's pushing back on it, but where the stud is, it's flush. So like I said, it's when it's in, it'll be in. It gives you some nuts and some washers. Like I said, I got to get some clearance here so I can get the cooler to sit back further, so it'll actually be flush to this. But that's all they are, guys. It's nothing crazy. Like I said, if unless somebody else has gone in and welded their studs up and the sheet metal to support it like I did, it's nowhere near half as bad of a job. By the time you have the intercooler off, it might take you 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to pull all 4 studs, and then to sink it, like I said, with a ball peen hammer, and then get your intercooler hung up there, make sure that everything's going to be honky-dory, because the plate is a little pliable. Like I said, you can move it back and forth if you have to, but I knew my studs were going to line up in good shape, and you just go ahead and run your set screw, or your self-tapping screw in there. But like I said, that sheet metal is pretty thin. You don't want to get crazy with it. If you over-torque it, you'll just wipe the threads out. And then you'll have to go to a bigger screw, or you could, I guess you could just nut and bolt it. That sheet bit does go all the way through, so yeah, I guess if you did wear the threads out, you could just put a 3/8 bolt through there, and with a lock washer and a nut on the other side. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna clearance this hood support here for my intercooler, and that's that. I mean, everything's mounted in.